All right, Austin, this is your first time having to get in front of the camera with us. So first, just who are you?
Yeah, I'm Austin Gomes, product manager at Lectric, working under Matt.
Yeah, and so what are some of the things that you're thinking of as like, these are considerations that have to be nailed for any XP based bike, right? Different bikes have different needs and different expectations. When you think of the XP, what are those expectations that sit on it that either need to be, held or enhanced?
As we know, the XP lineup is the Swiss Army knife of bikes. It's used for practically anything. It holds the majority of our customers, and so I want to make it the most user-friendly bike, the simplest bike, the most easy to understand. And so a lot of that came into the design features where we, made everything ergonomic. We made everything easy. We took the key away from being installed while you're riding. We have an on-off switch on the battery. We, kept that native slide-in battery.
There's ideas that are thrown out there, whether it be internally, externally. We just focus on the suppliers, right?
Yeah.
We have people that want to work with us all the time. The amount of emails, LinkedIn inboxes, I mean, it's crazy how many people want to work with us.
Right.
They'll send us a product and we're like, no, go back to the drawing board. This is not going to work for who we are. And sometimes they listen and sometimes they don't. And thankfully for this display, it was one of those things where we had certain features that we wanted, both physically and then digitally as well. And so we already talked about the physical things of the removable display and whatnot. Like, those are all things we highlighted already. But one of the big things I said to Austin was, there's all these multi-field variants that you see in the sport realm and other e-bikes. And what I mean by that is, like, when you're cycling through the display, you have all these different fields of information that you can look at.
Yeah.
And one of the Achilles heels of our last display, or some of our other displays that we had previously, was you could see speed, PAS, and then whatever you were cycling on the bottom.
Right, yeah.
No pun intended. And so, Austin, that was a big thing to focus on. What are all the fields that we have again?
Yeah, so we improved, and we have odometer, cadence, input power, motor power. You get to still see your real-time voltage and amperage.
Yeah, without having to cycle through as many, you would have to just click over and memorize, and it's like, now it's like the information's there, and I those secondary screens, dude, are just so much better. And the display in particular was a huge undertaking from you. Like, that was just like a project in it and of itself. And so you had to work with Erin, our creative director, and so working with her on the styling of it, a lot of iteration. So how does that work?
Well, first off, I think we, both Matt and I, coming from a pretty long cycling background, we took a lot of our knowledge from that, and having our head units there when we're riding, we see a lot of information there. So we wanted to kind of bring that over to this side of e-bikes. And so we worked with Erin, and we, gave her our ideas. She noodled on it, and she was able to give us really nice mock-ups. And then from there, we would talk to the supplier, and sometimes that meant 5 a.m. calls and all night long texting on WeChat and trying to get them to get what we want. And obviously there was lots of iterations that we went through. We started with this one thing, and we've ended on something completely different. And honestly, I think it's turned out great. I think it's super user-friendly. It's very natural, and just like the display fields just make sense.
Yeah. So, visually, right, you make it look good, right? That's part of the display. But also you got to go into the programming and the actual functionality, right? And that was another part of this. I remember you would be in this lab, you would run to your computer, make a small change, flash it to the bike, get out, try it again, and then you would do that time and time and time again. So, like, I don't even know what the heck you're doing, right? But you were flashing it and whatever. So what is that? And what were those differences and advantages that you were trying to find even?
Yeah, just getting super nitpicky. So, every time you change something in the programming, something else changes.
Yeah, sure.
And so, you might change the wheel size, and then all of a sudden you've got another issue.
Yeah.
Or the color of the background changed, and then you've got this other issue.
Yeah. Suddenly
And
now your pedal
yeah,
assist level
it's
got
a really
screwed up.
weird process. But so every iteration had something better, and then potentially something worse.
Yeah.
And so it was just working through all of that to get the best.
Yeah.
And so and make sure everything was correct in the way we want it.
But what is that pedaling experience you kind of crafted for them? You know, how is that ride, that acceleration going to feel in the different levels?
So with 5 levels, we've got Eco, Tour, Sport, and Sport Plus, and Turbo. Eco is kind of going to feel like a light push or a tailwind.
Okay.
You get a little bit more of that natural riding experience where you get to put some pressure on the pedals and ride the bike.
Yeah.
Each step just feels like a little bit more of a push. And so, you know, you go Eco Tour, you got a little bit more. It's that much easier. And then you work your way all the way up to Turbo, and it feels like you're flying.
Yeah.
You're putting a little bit of pressure on the pedals, but you're ripping.
Yeah.
And it feels awesome. I love that what we've landed on, because I think every level is distinguished enough that it's got a purpose.
Sure.
And you can really tune in what you want to ride like.
Yeah.
And how you want to ride, how fast you want to ride, what your terrain is like. And
Yeah, like Matt, like what did it end up being? Just, there's a lot of settings in there, but like the different rider experiences, riding modes, like what's the total of that?
Yeah, I mean, the math checks out. It's about 30 profiles.
Okay.
So if you wanted to ride in, 5 different pedal assists, we've got the torque multiplier in there where you can toggle that on and off. And then we, of course, abide by the 3-class system.
Yep.
So when you multiply that all out, we got about 30 different ways that somebody could ride and behave on their bike.
It's
basically.
so sick because like back in the day we had 2, like or whatever. It was like our very first version didn't have very much, and now there's so much, options and customization for a rider out there. So yeah, it's super cool.
Well, I mean, where the torque multiplier came from is like you came out here one day while we're out here riding the bike, and you're like, "Wow, I want more power.
Yeah.
Give me more power."
Right,
and it's like,
right.
okay, well, let's figure this out. And I was like, well, maybe we do a torque multiplier.
Yeah.
And sure enough, when you come out, we purposely put it in that setting.
Yeah.
So that you can get the maximum
Yeah.
return on that power.
Existing customers are going to really appreciate it once they get it, and they're going to touch, feel, see these improvements. You look down at the display for the first time and you instantly know it's like, this thing is way better, right? And they don't have to memorize parameter codes, P8, P22, P6, or whatever. There's 20 different P settings, and that's a lot of codes and numbers for one to memorize and not mix up. And sure, it put a lot of expectation on you guys and a lot of pressure, but pressure makes diamonds, and you guys performed, and you made an absolute gem behind me. So excellent job, and thanks for the work on this.